I want to talk some more about the infinite self. The infinite self is just another word for our commonly used word God, but it has a completely different vibration than the word God. It has a higher vibration than the word God, because when you hear the word God, you're always thinking about another entity, some cosmic master, some cosmic lord, right? That lords over you. But the infinite self is your essence, your core self. Before you took form, before you took on a human persona, before you became your conditioned self, known as Sandra, Kevin, or Renee, like Renee. That is our conditioned self, our forgetful self, our veiled self that is veiled in individuality, in an individualized identity, right? And this identity was formed under the non-awareness of separation. We identify separate from everything else, and because we have taken on, we believe that this individuated self, known as Renee, or known as Sandra, or known as Debbie, is who we actually are, right? And because humanity has only that awareness, is why this earth can't get out of the war and conflict cycles. Because the individualized and individuated self, persona, identity, is always going to fight and defend for that which it claims as its own. It's always going to fight for its own interests, because it operates in a vibration of insecurity, defensiveness. Because it only sees itself, everyone else is an enemy, a potential enemy. The ego persona does not trust another, and so it's always in the vibration of vigilance. Humanity is in the process of elevating or ascending out of that very, very limited perception. And many people, including myself, are reaching the state of awareness, which we call the infinite self, which goes beyond the persona known as Renee, which goes beyond identification with an individualized self, label, affiliation. The infinite self is the no thing, is the non-identification, is the all manifested as everything in this world. So if you go up against your neighbor, you're going up against God, right? If we hold any manifestation in the physical world and judge it as an enemy, we're calling an aspect of God an enemy. And so we're constantly fighting against God because we are judging the shadows that are within our individuated self, right? And that's why you have the Donald Trumps fighting with the whole world, because he really is a very huge individuated self. He's got an ego the size of America, which he feels passionately about and seeks to protect. But in the process, he sets the entire world on fire. He makes enmity with the entire world. That is on the level of the 3D self, the ego self. And in Donald Trump, we see a huge reflection. Many people should be able to recognize themselves in his mirror. And hopefully feel appalled and think to themselves, ooh, I don't want to be like that anymore, right? So that's the recognition of a layer of ego self. Ego has many layers, and you'll be stripping that down like an onion, peeling an onion, until you begin to feel the vibration in you that is very expanded and that sees everyone else as yourself. And eventually the threat and the enmity is going to be eliminated, because you recognize that everything that is manifested and expressing in this life is the infinite self. And so the infinite self, if I was to use a Bible verse, I think it's in Psalms, it says something like, the glory of the Lord shall fill the entire earth, right? So the infinite self, eventually, the awareness and consciousness of the infinite self is going to fill the earth. That will be the glory of the infinite self, the glory of peace, the glory of security. It's a security that comes from the inside, that no longer sees an other, that I have to fight against or guard against. That is the glory that will one day fill the entire earth and transform humanity, transform the planet. That's the consciousness and high vibration of dissolving all individuation. Now, it doesn't mean you disappear. Obviously, I'm still functioning as Renegade, right? I'm still functioning here in this physical manifestation as Renee. But the consciousness, my previously divided brain into left and right, or Adam and Eve, male and female, is united now. I am no longer driven by just the Adam that toils and makes provision for the individuated self, that which is mine. I have the whole consciousness of the two energies combined, which is the infinite self, and I can be at peace with the whole world. The ego likes to say, nobody is better than someone else. Well, I'd like to challenge that, because there is some pretty rotten egos out there. And I am better than some of those egos that are out there, that are expressing from a very low vibration, right? So there are manifestations of people that are manifesting better than others. Better and worse is the language of ego. Like I say, I like to use the descriptor of greater consciousness, more expanded consciousness, And there's definitely people that have a lower consciousness and people that have a more expanded consciousness. And that's a reality. Ego doesn't like... There's something in the bush. Ego doesn't like... the ego makes distinctions, but it also doesn't like distinctions, right? When someone thinks of themselves the better, ego does not like that, because then it would have to admit that it needs to upgrade, right? And ego doesn't want to have that responsibility. Even ego does not want to have that reality. And so ego is always complaining. Ego never lets someone else be better than itself. And really the only way to become better is to abandon the ego identity altogether, right? The competition. To realize that you are really a no self, an infinite self, that is everything, the good and the bad. So, anyways, ego is quite the character, and creates a lot of drama in this world. Anyways, I'm up to 12 minutes, so hopefully you found this interesting and helpful. Everybody will one day achieve infinite self-consciousness, and those who are going first, the forerunners, we're just holding the flame, right? We're holding the light and the vibration that everyone can come into this. That's what the noise in the bush was. Can you see it? The little robin?